Hey there, good morning.
Hello, Reid.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I was very impatient to make this showcase with you, and I thank you. I thank you very much for already the job that you did. I was impressed by the preparation that you did, and I'm happy. I have already some feedback, so I'm very happy to be here with you and with people who are here also.
Yeah, for the people tuning in, I ended up connecting with is it Didier?
Yes.
Yeah, with Didier through Ruth. Some of you might know her as Kerbal, as she connected us through LinkedIn, and he showed me this really amazing external tool that he's built that I had never seen before. That he's going to be demoing for us today, but it's one of the reasons that I wanted to get this spun up so quickly is it's a very cool external tool, even among all the ones that I've seen. So I'm very happy to be given the space to be able to provide this today. Just like my other live streams, I'll mention that for any of you tuning in now. Feel free to drop questions in as we're going through stuff into the chat. In general, just start it with a Q, just to indicate that that's going to be a question, and then as needed, I will pass the questions on to us to answer either during the demonstrations or kind of at the end if they're more generalized questions as well. But otherwise, yeah, do you want to give me a little background about yourself, kind of who you are, what you do, and maybe we could also start talking about the tool itself.
Sure. So I'm analyst at the moment, but I had several activities in my life. I worked for almost 40 years in with data and a lot with Excel. And I was a developer. I was project manager. At the moment, I am group data quality officer in an international company. We are in 23 countries. So I'm very interesting with the translation topic in Power BI, and I worked a lot on this. And last year, during the first lockdown, I had some time, so I could use the blogs from Filthy Mark. He has a
Oh,
very good blog, how to start coding with Power BI and Tom. And also, I looked at the tabular editor code and DAX Studio code, and it was inspiring me. And I wanted to fill some gaps that I found in Power BI, and I started. So the first version happened. It was published on July last year, and still I continue to improve it. So I hope everybody see my screen. Ah, no, it's not
I'll go ahead
switch.
and switch over right now.
Yeah.
There we are. Perfect.
What is it?
Your screen's up.
No, it comes and it disappears. I don't know where is my. I lost my Google Chrome.
No worries.
Okay,
Sometimes I
okay,
just
okay.
have to like close Chrome and then reopen it.
Um, okay, so I I decided to start with site tools, Power BI site tools, and my position is between the business and the IT team. I have
Hmm.
IT skills, but I have also strong business skills. So I wanted to make a tool which is useful for both of them, but especially for business users. because I like very much DAX Studio and Tabular Editor, but I feel there are some expert software. So I try to do something in the middle. But I respect a lot what they do, and I use them. It's fantastic tools also. So the first thing that I wanted to do was to be able to search in my code, in my formulas, in M formulas and in DAX formulas. So I wanted to do something like other external tools do already, but I wanted to manipulate these formulas in Visual Studio Code because it's extremely powerful, and it's a text editor, and it's extremely powerful. You can extend it. There are more than 20,000 plugins for Visual Studio Code. And you can even execute SQL queries in Visual Studio Code. You can also manage Azure. So there are amazing functionalities, and it's extremely powerful for search purpose. So I decided to create a functionality for this. So if you go to tools, and if you install Sidetools, you will have this icon. This icon here.
There you go.
Yes, and this is the icon I will use because I will use the debug version, which is more complete than the published version. So you will have exclusive presentation of some features.
Upcoming features.
Yes,
Yeah.
or maybe not. I don't know if I will publish them or
Fair.
because they need to be robust, before I publish. So when you open the tool, it opens a small window here, and it can be either attached to the desktop. So when you move the desktop, you move the window also, if you like. But if you don't like it, it can be also sticky to the screen, and it will not move.
Okay.
Okay, and I will change the interface. At the moment, there are a lot of menus. I have some plans to make it to make it nicer. So the first functionality is to transfer the report formulas and some other information to files. So when you click here, the tool proposes to transfer some information to files, and then to open Visual Studio Code and or Windows Explorer. So we'll open both and we process. So Visual Studio Code will open, and also the Explorer, the Windows Explorer. I will close this at the moment.
And I'm assuming in Visual Studio Code too, you have the plugins that allows it to like read, read M and DAX as a language as well. Yeah.
Yes, you have plugins to format to color the code.
Exactly. Make it more readable.
And to provide IntelliSense, and also to format the M code. So what did the tools? It created, in my documents, it created a folder. And in this folder, it created another folder with the name of the PBIX. And within this folder, within this folder, it created one folder for M code, one folder for DAX code, one folder for the layout, the backups, exports, and other files. So I will explain them because here you have exactly the same in Visual Studio Code. You have the folder for the PBIX, and here the M code, the DAX code, and some other information. Okay, so when I open the M folder, I see all the queries, including the hidden date table, if you allow Power BI to create them. And when you click on one formula, you have the formula here with color syntax and with some IntelliSense. It's not perfect IntelliSense like you have in Power BI, but it's okay. So you can open here your M query, and then you can open here. You have your different tables, and in this table I have a display folder here, and here I have my measures. Here it's there are 3 measures and 1 calculated column. So if you open one measure, you add several folders here, several tabs, and you can move these tabs as you want. So I will open another one. I can keep it here close to this one, but I can move it here.
Now, do all the measures and columns just go into that bucket, or does it, if you have measures in a folder in Power BI, does it grab the folder names at all?
The display folder?
So you know in Power BI, you can put your measure inside of a folder, inside of a table. Does it capture that at all?
Yes. Here you have the table. Where is the measure?
Yep.
Here you have the display folder.
Okay, that is the display folder. Okay, just double checking. Cool. Yeah, it's great that it managed to it grabs basically all of the model organization that you have and passes it into Visual Studio. That's fantastic.
Yes. And so you organize your screen as you want, and it's memorized for the next time you will use it. And you can even do things like this, for example. So if you have a big screen, you can see many information at the same time. So I like it very much. And then you can see here the layout. So the layout is the report. Let's say the report, the visual. So there is some kind of hidden file containing the report, which is a JSON file. It's this one. It's hidden in the PBIX, which is a zip file. You can unzip the PBIX, and you can see this file. And within this file, you have I will just close the other one. You have the JSON code. You can format the code, and here you can see exactly how it's organized, and you can see all the visuals and all the parameters of the visuals. And here it's not exactly readable, so I created another file where it is readable. Then you can, if you want, you can look at your report this way. It's not very readable at the moment this way, but sometimes it can be helpful, especially when you will look for example, I can look for this table. I can look for this table through all my folders. So through the M code, through the DAX code, and through the layout. Let's try it. So of course, when you are here, you can search within the text editor. You have the Control F function. But what is amazing, it's this function here. You can type the column, the measure, or even the visual type, or anything you want. You can type it here, and when you validate, you have the result of the search.
Yeah,
It's
that part's fantastic to be able to see just every touch point that you know, like a table or a column has across your entire report, whether or not it's a visual, M code, DAX, etc.
exactly. When you double click, I will close this one for readability, and this one also. When you click, you see the detail, you see the formula. And what is also nice here, you can open a new tab with all the occurrences of your search. And it's dynamic. I mean, if you double click here, you open the formula. So that is the reason why I started Power BI Sidetools, because I wanted to search through my code. And another functionality which comes with this, you can search through your PBIX, but you can search through multiple PBIX.
Oh, that's nice.
So for this, because you saw that all the PBIX are in folders, if you want to. So you can, let's say I close this one and I will open all the projects in VS Code. So now I have the main folder, and within I have all my reports. And if you search here, you will search through all your reports. Don't hesitate to stop me if you have questions.
No questions in the chat yet. Just a couple people commenting on just the usability of this.
Okay. And
and you can choose the names of the you can choose the names of the folders as well, right? Customize how you want like the root folder to be. There you go. Yep.
Yes, there are settings, and you can select the name of the folder.
Perfect.
So here you have a backup possibility. So you have a backup button, and if you click on the backup button, it will add a folder in the backups with the date and the time. So this one is from today. Yeah, and this one is from January.
So it basically allows you to snapshot the metadata.
And of course, you can search through your backups.
It's really nice to be able to have that. I know, like I'm very adamant. Like everybody should, as a best practice. Certainly, you know, when they can back up their Power BI files and version that, but just to be able to do this without necessarily the data, but just the infrastructure of the file itself is a really nice feature to have.
Yes, and when you discover a PBIX file, it's very quick to do it this way because you use search, so it's very natural, like in Word, for example. But of course, this search you can do it with another tool, because the formulas, I mean, the data is in the folders, so you can use VS Code, which I think is fantastic, but you can use another tool. So there is also this one. I will speak about it later. And this one, it's the place where you can add other folders, as many as you want. They will be saved also in the backup. And in this place, I put my PBIX. So I have some project structure. And as a developer, I like it very much because all the files that I need, I put them in this folder. If I want to put it on a USB, for example, all my files are at the same place, and it's very easy.
Yeah, just loving just the sheer amount of, and it's also like I haven't used Visual Studio Code nearly as much, just because I don't normally code that often versus Power BI, which is it's pseudocode, but it's not like Python or anything else. But from a perspective of managing the all of the data that's inside of Power BI for everything, like this search function alone is just I know like I've had many times where I wanted to look through my M code and I have to go through query at a time to kind of find something, if it's lost in there, and there's no easy way to just search across everything. In the search field, in the fields pane, only searches for the names. It doesn't search for the column name inside of the measures, which, honestly, like they really could make that a lot more robust. So this solves a common pain point for both of those scenarios.
Totally agree. So now I have two backup here. I will zoom a bit. I have one backup here and one backup here. So I will open the same formula in one backup and in another one.
So fantastic.
So I can see them here, but I don't want to see them like this. So I will close them. I will select the first one, select for compare, and on the second one, I will compare with selected. And then you see both of them side by side, and you can see what was added in one or retrieved in the other one, and so on.
It's just basically it's a diff comparison, right? To see what lines of code changed, and again, when you're trying to find like if there's a situation like something broke, like well, what exactly was changed between the two files? Great way to be able to do that here.
Yes, and try to do it manually. It's very difficult if the code is not small. It's very difficult to do. Yeah. And after all, it's just text file. So all your imagination is open to do whatever you want with another tool, with very powerful tools. And for example, first of all, you can put the main folder, you can put it on the network. Here you can select another location for this folder.
Mm-hmm.
So you can put it on the network to share, and you can set up the user rights to prevent somebody to go here or there. And then you can also add this folder to a GitHub repository. So you have full source code control on your DAX, M, and so on.
That's fantastic.
That's what. There's one thing that I didn't speak about. It's here. You have the possibility to.
Honestly, just for this feature alone, like that, this alone is enough of a selling point for the tool. Not even including all the other things that it does. Is just simply the ability to, extract out, parse, format, search, and compare. Just the all of the base code behind Power BI files is very, very, very useful.
Yes. So, and here you have the possibility to see the visuals. So it's not formatted here, but there is a plugin in Visual Studio Code. Oh, sorry, it's not this. To display it like an, and here you can filter, you can sort, filter, like in Excel. So here I have all my pages. I have all my visuals with the type, with the visibility, the title, the visibility of the title. So this is an example of what we can do also in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it especially because sometimes I have a filter page and I copy this filter page in another report. But these filters have some synchronization with other pages. So when I do this, I have problems of visuals not visible but present in other pages. And with this, I can see exactly what I need to remove in which page. And so it was the only way to do it. I found to do it easily.
Okay.
So I think I
People are very
finished.
people in the comments are very impressed so far, just with like some of these features, getting a lot of wows and really nices.
Yeah, and they can ask for more. There is a GitHub repository. I will show you, and you feel free to ask
Mm-hmm.
more features. I like very much to help. Yeah, I finished on this topic, so I will close Visual Studio Code if you don't have questions.
Yeah, you can go ahead and close Visual Studio Code. That's fine.
So the second feature that I needed a lot was to export some data from my PBIX to Excel. And there is a feature built by SQL BI by Marco Russo and Alberto Ferrari, which is called Analyze in Excel. It's the same name than the Analyze in Excel in the service, but it's an external tool that you can install. But with this one, you cannot save the Excel file and reopen it after. It's not connected to the report. So I asked him if I can take a part of his code, and he agrees. He's very nice. Thank you, Marco. And so I did this feature that I love for my everyday work. So here I can export to Excel. So here I can create an Excel file connected to the report, and I can save it. I can save this report. This Excel file. I can set up the Excel file with different sheets with different pivot table, and then when I save it, I can see it's in this menu, and so I can have several reports for different purpose. I have a report for developers, for management, and for end users, for example.
It's fantastic.
So when I open this template, it's refreshed immediately, and you see I get everything updated here in as many tabs as I want. These are by default they are pivot tables, and of course it's dynamic, like an Excel file. It's just an Excel file taking the data from the PBIX, but the PBIX must be in import mode. So you can set up it as you want. You can even prepare some kind of how to say a report. I forgot the name. Paginated report.
That's right. Yeah.
You know how to. you know how to format your Excel file, and you can create a paginated report. Of course, it will not be so good that the one provided by Microsoft, but it might be okay also. And what I like very much is the grand total. If you double click on the grand total, a table here, it's not a pivot table, it's a real table. The table is created with some query inside. It's limited to 1,000 lines, no problem. You right click on the table, you select here table, modify the query,
Mm-hmm.
and here you have access to the query, and you can modify it as you want.
It's so fantastic.
I love it.
Oh yeah.
And of course, you can save it, and next time you will open it, it will be refreshed.
It's really nice just the amount of options people have to play around with their data and slice and dice it as they want to, you know, either between Power BI or just, like you said, just easily popping this into Excel and connecting to it, basically via the, you know, the Analyze in Excel option.
Yes, yes. So for me, for quality, it's extremely important because my users need an extract of the bad data. So it's extremely useful, and it's extremely fast to create this report. And who doesn't need to export from PBIX file? I don't imagine it's possible. So there are questions about this feature?
I do have one. Somebody's asking, is it comparable to the DAX Studio and Tabular Editor? So I will say that those are more like advanced developer tools, and as Didier does describe, like this is kind of like a nice intermediate between the two. This is something for like a business user to be able to explore their data. You're not using this necessarily to go like hardcore coding on optimizing your DAX code, but it allows you to connect to it. You can, as you've seen, you can do diff comparisons and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of functionality in this for people to explore their data, explore the files, search functionality, you know, all of those types of features. And I can confirm with you as well, like this is a free external tool that can be plugged into Power BI.
Yes.
Yep.
And what I could say, we can have some functionalities which are a bit crossed between the tools, but it's this proportion, you know, it's a very small proportion of functionality. If you want to optimize, you go to DAX Studio. If you want to set up exactly your model, you go to Tabular Editor. And here. Here, you can use three tools. There is no problem. You will find some use case in the three tools. So I can close this Excel file. So here there are other functionalities are not shown now. I worked a lot on translations because I miss a lot the translation functionality. It's already possible to translate some things. The model is it's possible to translate it. The titles of the visuals, it's possible to translate it, but you cannot translate the page name, for example. And for the data, there are some issues also to make something robust with translation.
Mm-hmm.
So I work a lot on this. I created. You can look at the blog, my blog, and I'm afraid to try to show it to you because it didn't work last time. No, it disappears. So in my blog, you will have some blog post about translation. I created a plugin for Excel in order to translate the model, the visuals, and the data. But I want to make it more robust.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a room here for the next feature, but we will not have it in the published feature. Okay, here you have folders, so you can open several folders. This is not available in the published version, but it will be. And here we have some more features. You can clear the cache when you want to optimize your DAX formula. For example, you can go to the performance. You can open the performance analyzer. But sometimes it's nice to clear the cache to know how the report behave when the cache is empty. And here it's a functionality to help people to create their own external tool or to manage their existing external tool. Because some people ask how I can delete my external tool, how I can modify my external tool. Here you have the possibility.
That's so cool.
To do it. So you have this tool, for example. If you want to delete it, you can test it also. You can open this folder because these are files. These are JSON files hosted in a special folder. But you can open this folder here. You can modify, of course, the tool if you know how to do it this way. And you can save. But you can also create your own with a wizard. So you type a file name, you type the tool name. This is you have some tooltips also to help. This will appear in the external tool tab, and this will sort your external tool. So if you want it to be the first one before, and maybe or 0 before, and maybe it will be the first in your tabs here. Then you go to next step and you type a description or a version, but it's optional. Then you go to the next step and you can select an image. There is a default image, but when you click on the image, you can select another one. And when you open this image, it will display it here, and it will convert it into the right format. You don't need to manage the base 64 format. Yeah. You don't need to open the JSON file. Everything is done for you. When you click on next, you can select the type of external tool you want. So you can open an application like Sidetools, like DAX Studio, like any other application you have installed on your computer. You can open an individual side tool. I mean, one functionality available in Sidetools, you can open it and create a special external tool for this. So let's do it. I select individual side tool and I click on next. Then, for example, I can select this one. And if I save it, I will have here an external tool to clear the cache.
Especially when you're using the performance analyzer, that's really helpful.
I suppose, yes. And here you have a possibility to create an external tool here to create a backup. It's the same like clicking here.
I'm just going to keep smashing my little star button just to like keep emphasizing all these amazing, awesome features that are in this thing.
Thank you. You can also select a document. If you want to open a Word document, an Excel document, you can open a folder with the Windows Explorer. And you can open a URL with the default browser. And each of these possibility will drive you to another setup after. Then you save, you go to next and you save your external tool. So I close it. So you can create an external tool. I used to say you can create an external tool in 1 minute. And that's the way I do it because I'm used to. And honestly, I think it's very simple for anybody to do it. And here you can even add the server argument and the database argument for advanced users if you know how to manage this. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
But it's not my favorite feature. My favorite feature appeared this week. I published it for you, Reed, for this showcase. I plan to publish it later because I wanted to make more tests on it, but I decided to publish a preview because it will be frustrating for you if I showcase it now and you cannot play with it. And I love this feature very much. The idea of this feature was when I write DAX, I'm not a DAX specialist at all. I read.
I just want to quickly pop up just one comment about your last thing before you show the next feature. That I just wanted to agree with Bernat that I think that tool wizard is going to be very useful to help a lot more people kind of realize how easy it is to create an external tool and potentially get the ideas to percolate up and actually allow them to build them. So
yes.
And you were mentioning like with the feature and the in general with DAX as the coding language.
Yes. So this feature helps to write DAX, and I'm not a specialist. I look at many videos. I look at your videos, Reed. Thank you for the quality of your videos. I look at Ruth's videos. I look at Alberto's videos, at Marco's videos, at many videos. But still, I'm sorry, I must be stupid, but I'm not very compatible with DAX. So of course, I can go and I can type the define, measure, and evaluate thing. But I hoped I could do something simpler to help myself and to help possibly other people. You will tell me if it's helpful. So for this, there is the DAX debugger, which appeared here this week. And so these two functionalities don't exist in the published version at the moment. So I will open here. Here I have a measure which is open. It's a very, very simplistic measure. Here it's extremely simple. So probably you will not need a DAX debugger for this measure, but I want to show you what you can do immediately with DAX debugger. You select your with IntelliSense, you select your measure, and let's say you want to see this measure in the. Oh, I lost my page. Sorry, I will need a few seconds to.
No problem at all.
Where is it? Oh, I lost it. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. So you want to see the calculation of this measure in a context. You know that you need a context to evaluate a measure.
It's like just the output of like what the data behind it, as you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you select a table in the list of your table.
Mm-hmm.
It's the product, and you run the debugger.
I'm just gonna pop up a little, just like that. That's incredible.
Yes. So now you have the evaluation of your measure here in yellow in the product table. But of course, if you want, you can change you can change your context here. You can evaluate against the sales table, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to stop the debugger. It will change the context automatically.
That's so cool.
And so you have a visual result of your measure. Excuse me.
Somebody commented that they're totally buying this, but it's like the best part is they don't have to. It's a free external tool.
Yeah. So now you can move columns. You can sort by any column. And on the left side, here you have the query, which has been executed to display this data. In case of error, here you have a tab with the error. I couldn't test this functionality against all the formulas in the world, so I'm sure it works. I'm not sure it works all the time. So feel free to contact me on GitHub and create an issue. Don't worry if it's a duplicate issue and so on. It will help also. It will help me to debug it.
Yeah, and you know, for anybody tuning in, you know, like as he just said, you know, a lot of this stuff is iterative, and there's only so much the developer can test. So the more the people who install this, the better the tool becomes, especially if you provide feedback. Better said, the more people who install and then provide feedback on it. And like it's the same thing with DAX Studio and Tabular Editor. For Darren and Daniel, I know both of them, and I submit feedback to them on a regular basis, as well as a lot of other developers. So that's how the tools grow and get better. So absolutely for that. And a question actually just popped up from Matthias. So that little box in there, interactive in the sense that, I mean, as you can see, he can click around in there. One of my questions is like, can you copy out, like right-clicking and copy any of that data that is in the little pop-up window?
Not at the moment, but it's a good idea to submit in GitHub.
Yeah, it's one of those like because I know very often when if I'm debugging in the data view in Power BI, you know, and it's usually because like I'm trying to get some IDs or something to maybe send to somebody to get validation against, and it's really nice to say be able to right click on a cell and copy, or right click on a column, or usually the upper left hand corner you can copy the table and just paste it into an email or paste it into Teams. So I bet you that there'll probably be a few people down the road who'd probably want to do that in here, especially if you're in a debugging mode. You want to be able to get that data and send it to somebody to go fix, right?
Yes. So it's a good idea. I will try to do something for this, but I already thought about exporting to Excel. So will it be enough to have an export in Excel, or will we need to have also a functionality to copy it to the clipboard?
I think if I was to vote, I'd say both. The Excel is still really good, but the scenario that let's as an example is to just assume that the only thing that I need is the sales key. That's the thing that I copy out. So export to Excel, you would do that, then you'd open it, then you'd go in there, then you select the column, then you'd copy the column. So I could imagine that at some point somebody would want to just right-click the header and copy one column out to paste it somewhere. But you could still do that through the export to Excel option in 3 or 4 clicks versus the one. But at that point, it's software sugar. It's just doing the same process with less clicks, but it still is possible with the export option.
Okay, the export doesn't work at the moment.
Yep.
It's a preview. It's a debug function. You need to understand that this table is quite long to populate with the data.
Yeah.
So for performance, I limit it by default to 30 rows, but in the future you will be able to set up this default value. And so it's just a part of your data. It's not the whole data. But when you will export to Excel, you will export the whole data.
It's like it's a query preview. Just for comparison in M, when you are developing M, you're not showing the whole data set. That would completely kill the memory and everything else. You are given a 1,000 row preview. Here is a similar thing. You're given the first X number of rows to see what the data would look like in there for, as this is described for debugging. I did have one quick question. That's a general question about the external tool. Similar to DAX Studio, there is a portable version that does not require admin privileges to install. Is there any possibility that this might ever have a version that does not require that for people who have an IT locked machine?
At the moment, no, but I'm thinking about it. Yes.
Okay.
But I spoke already with Ruth, for example, on this topic, and I think it's not nice. It's not nice for if your IT team doesn't want you to install some tool. It's not very nice to use a portable version. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking to do it. Yes.
I will say that
Anyway,
that's not on you to determine how people use that. That's on them. But yeah, I think the best example of that it's okay to do that. DAX Studio does it. They have a portable version for people, so it's lead by example in that case. If a tool as well known as that one does it, I think it's totally fine and I'm sure plenty of people will be very happy that this would be available as a portable version as well.
yes, but recently there was a GitHub issue for Tabular Editor, and I want to congratulate Daniel for the work the work he does in the GitHub issues. It's fantastic support. It's fantastic support.
Agreed.
Thank you, Daniel. And recently somebody said, oh, my company didn't agree to install this tool because it opened a new array.
Yeah.
So, so sometimes IT will agree, sometimes IT will not agree.
Yeah, you're handcuffed sometimes.
Okay, but yes, there will be a portable version. So a very good practice writing DAX is to write variables.
It's not interestingly. Oh yeah, there you go. Got to get rid of the first part. Yep. You can't have a space in the variable name. There you go.
Yes. So this is a very good practice. And when you validate the measure, the table will show an error. No, of course. It's good. You saw how it reacts after an error. When you validate, the table will be updated automatically. And the variable will be displayed in black.
The interesting thing too, I just want to point out is you'll notice that the error was actually returning with MDX, which is what some of the base language in the Veritapec engine is. In the very, very, very far back end of Power BI, that's not touched by us at all. Like the MDX is still used in parts. So.
Yes, I have no clue about it, but yes, sometimes MDX appears in the best practice rules also.
Yeah.
There is a very, very not clear rule about MDX. Yes, maybe there is MDX under DAX. I don't know. But anyway, you don't need to know MDX to use the tool. So the variable is displayed here, and you can, of course, you can write other variables. and they will be displayed also.
Let me quickly pop the thing over here. There we go. Okay, just switching our video to the left side so they can see the variable 1 and 2.
Yes. Okay, and even if you have a variable which is a table, like this one, so if a variable is a table, you will have it displayed in another window.
Yep. So just for bit of context, essentially when the measure itself basically evaluates out to a table output rather than a scalar single value, as he's mentioning here, what you'll get is a separate pop-up window for that. So and I'll just as a business case for this, like I certainly know as a developer, like one of the most common things that I do is I'll usually have a hidden tab in the report as I'm developing it out for clients. It's a test page because I have to build visuals, I have to add all these tables, and I have to put all my measures in there and add the filters, and I basically have to build out all of the little pop-ups that I need because it's not really easy to explore the data that well, especially with measures. Like if you go to the data view, you can see the raw data, but you can't really see raw data summarized at the measure level with filters and all this other stuff if it's anything complex, or especially with like some X's or something. So this is a great way to build those, temp tables very quickly to evaluate measures without necessarily needing those, test pages and having to literally build out the visuals one at a time. So I love this ability to parse out these variables and just throw out the data for analysis.
Right. Yes, Lee. And when you debug in the report or in the data tab, you need to scroll, you need to look for your measure, your column, you need to filter and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not saved. It's not saved. You need to do, if you come back on this measure the day after, you need to build it again. And okay, so now it was I showed you the very simple way to debug.
Yep.
You just need to write your measure. Here it's my measure, nothing else. And here you type your measure name. Here the table against you want it to be evaluated. But there is an advanced mode where you can write some instruction to the debugger. So the simplest instruction is this one. You can set up the number of rows, the maximum number of rows that you want to display. So when I validate here, I limit the display to 2 rows. But you can also select 200 or 2000. It will be a bit longer to display the table, this table, the debug table, but it works. And so if you don't remember what instruction, you can go, of course, to the blog post page, but you can also here select, here, you can select parameters, rows limit. It will copy the code in the clipboard, and then you can paste it here. And you just need to modify your limit. So we have a bunch of instructions which are present in this menu. And it's the same concept each time. This one is rather simple to memorize. Others might be more difficult to memorize.
I almost see a bit of this as like because there's all these variables that control that. It'd be great if there were if you had like almost like a template example, like one of the buttons in the side tool that shows you a sample query with all of the adjustable variables that are in here, almost like a template of here's all the settings and things you can tweak when using the DAX debugger.
Yes, okay, it's possible. Yeah.
I have a Christian actually has a great comment on this, what I didn't think of, but this is actually a really great way to potentially like as an instructor or a trainer to actually have this pop up to be able to teach DAX a bit, where you can as you're going through use both as a demonstration of variables, but then also exposing the data and actually helping to show like row and filter context. I actually, yeah, I think I might even actually start to incorporate this in some of the trainings that I do on the days that I teach DAX.
Yes, totally. So here I will remove this one because I have one here. These instructions are for the debugger. They are not used by the measure. So you can comment them and validate, but it will work. The debugger will read them. So it will not have impact on your measure. You are sure it will not have impact because they are commented. And the day after, when you come back to your measure, you still have this instruction. It's kept forever if you want, or you can delete it, of course.
Another quick
So
just
you can
comment
add,
from Bernat just to confirm again is yeah, his question is that you don't have to exit the measure editing to see the changes. The one thing that he's doing specifically is if you're in the measure, to get it to commit to the model, either hit enter or hit that little check box that's in on the right side over there. I have to remember which side I'm pointing to on my camera. As soon as you do that, it commits to the model, and then that thing it's a push change. It pushes it to the debugger window, and then that immediately results in whatever changes you made to the code.
yes. But in case you want to comment, really comment, and let the debugger ignore this instruction, you add another slash and you validate, and it will ignore the line.
And the nice thing too with this is, like as you mentioned, you can have a bunch of test variables. When you comment it out, that means that it's not going to hurt performance, because if you declare a variable in a measure, even if you don't result in that, it does still process that variable, which can slow down performance. But if you comment it out, the measure is not going to be affected by it, but the debugger will have it for later. So you can have a lot of stuff in there as far as things to help with development that won't hinder the model in any way or slow down the performance of the report.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we will,
Yeah. Go ahead.
so now we will do something a bit smarter. We will modify the debug context with an instruction. So here, the debug context is by default the sales table.
Mm-hmm.
But now I want the debug context. The debug context is what is displayed here, is the table here. So you force the debug context to be the product table filtered by class name equal deluxe. Now you have the product table here, and the class name is deluxe. Then you also sort this table as you want with another instruction. This one. So I want to sort the debug table by unit cost descending. Unit cost descending.
Getting some great reactions from people in the chat, like, and I think they're very much mirroring the your statement about this. Like, this is your favorite part of it, but I do love one comment, which is just the fact that they describe it as like this. You can tell that this was built by him for him, and yeah, it's built by a developer for a developer. And as you stated, like there were certain pain points that you had with all of these things that really that you're wanting to solve for yourself, and then realizing, oh, this could actually be useful for a lot of other people.
Yes. So now I will do something more. I will remove this instruction and I will add as many tables as I want. And I can write the DAX that I want, of course. So now I add two additional tables. The sales table, I want to display 30 of the sales. And here I want to display the sales line measure within the geography context. And I want to display only the continent name. So I can select the column I want to see. I don't need to see all the columns in the table. So I will have my two additional tables here. And that's all. I finished with the functionalities. Of course, if you have some ideas, we can think to develop it. I need to make it more robust. I know that it can be improved, but at the moment it's usable. And again, feel free to give me feedback in GitHub issues, and you can use the discussions in GitHub to provide new ideas. And at the moment, there are limitations. If your variables are nested within a condition or within an iteration, the DAX debugger at this moment, it will not work.
Okay.
So your variables, let's say like this at the beginning of the code, and not nested within another formula.
Okay. Good to know.
So what's next? Because there are already some other functionalities. Here I'm in the sales lines formula. I can here open Visual Studio Code. No, I'm sorry. I can format the code. You didn't see it maybe, but I can select another measure. Okay, let's destroy a bit this format.
Oh no!
Okay.
Kill it with fire.
No, it's nice like this. I want to keep it like this. So I save it.
Get rid of all your tabs and just replace them with spaces.
So I click here, and here I call the DAX formatter from SQL BI. I call the web service, and it will or it will not. Okay, so believe me, it works. Today it doesn't work.
Hey, considering everything that you managed to show, the fact that we have this one small hiccup, yeah, that is a grain of sand on a beach, basically.
It means that it's real demo.
Yeah.
No, it works usually. I don't know why it doesn't work. Okay, and there is a preview functionality here also. You can open your measure within Visual Studio Code, and you can modify it. I will show it here. And here, when you save, it will If I'm on the measure,
There
it
we
will
go.
be better. It will save the measure. So you can write your DAX in Visual Studio Code.
That's really cool. I mean, it's nice for coding purposes. Like honestly, and again, to give a comparison, because people might ask, like, well, why not just use DAX Studio? Well, it kind of depends. If I only use DAX Studio when I need to optimize. Honestly, like if I'm writing pretty basic stuff, like I'm doing a bike sales, calculate this and that, or anything that I know basically the formula to write. I don't need to optimize it. It's straightforward to code. I don't often really like the little the window that's in there. So it's nice to have a pop-up window that can be full screen, and using a code writer to to edit it and pop it back into here. So that's really useful just to be able to write measures without other advanced features. If you want to use a different tool to write back to the file. So that's fantastic for those use cases.
And of course, this window can be on another screen, which is not possible here.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
when the formula is long, it's a pain to hide this window.
Here's a
Here,
question. Here's just a quick question that I have for you. Similar to tabular editor, and like one thing that I like about Power Pivot inside of Excel is when you open the measure window, you can write and edit multiple measures, and until you close that window, it doesn't commit it to the model. It kind of saves processing, because if you save a measure in here on a large file, you might have to wait 30 seconds for it to save the measure back, and then you go update your next one. So is it possible to kind of edit multiple measures in Visual Studio Code and then save it to the model? That way you don't have to go through that pain of kind of waiting for the cycle to happen every time you save?
sure. Here, you open VS Code.
Mm-hmm.
You have all your measures. You can open several measures.
And you can edit it just right in here too, from just viewing Visual Studio Code, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
you can edit them, and here you can save all,
Mm-hmm.
and they will be transferred.
That's fantastic.
I will need some time to publish to publish this functionality, because I want to make it robust. You can modify the files, you can modify the desktop. Maybe you will mix both. So I need to have the logic to make it robust.
No, totally fair.
Yes. So there is another functionality, which is, of course, you can mix the Visual Studio Code and the debugger. You can have this on one screen and the debugger on another screen and the report on another screen, and they all work together. So here I have also the possibility to display an evaluation of the performance, but I need to work on it to make it better. And I think that's all.
No, that's perfect. We're at hour 15, and we covered a lot of things with this tool set. I will say, like, we'll wrap up here in a minute. So if there are any remaining questions that you wanted me to either myself or Didier can answer, then feel free to drop them into here. There's been just a lot of chat of people talking about this, also use cases from Power Pivot, bringing it in to to be able to just debugging this in Power BI. But it seems like there's quite a few individuals who are just very impressed with this tool set. Like, I'm going to pop up one for you that I think you'll appreciate. Just this is beyond believable. Very cool features that are in this. So yeah, let me take a look. Let's see. Was there any others? But yeah, I just want to thank you on behalf of myself, and I'm sure everybody in the channel. Thank you so much for demoing all of this today. It's a tool that I'm certainly going to have installed, and actually that mention that somebody had in there, like, I really do think that I'm actually going to be using the debugger probably when I teach DAX to really just help to show the data and show how the data writes basically back to rows and in filter context. So I actually think as a as an instructor, this will be a very helpful tool, not even outside of standard development. So many features that are available in this. There actually is a good question from Christian. How do we know there's a new version available? I'm assuming that will be posted to the GitHub for this, correct?
Yes, you can look at GitHub, but when you open the Sidetools external tool, it will show that there is a new version available.
Oh, okay, awesome. So it does do a call to probably a website to check its version against whatever number is published and whether or not you need to download a newer version.
Yes, I just look at GitHub repository and I compare the version and I display. But you need to go to the GitHub and to download the file and to install again. At the moment, it's not very optimized, but I can do it better in the future.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't see any other questions. Just again, continuous comments on how much they love this tool set. So. And yes, yeah, the appreciation again for having that update check inside of the tool. I think that's going to be really nice. I know that I'm terrible at like checking websites for latest installs, but I'm much more inclined to do so if I get a pop-up saying, "Hey, go download this, spend 30 seconds to install it." So that will be really nice. But yeah, then is there anything? Unless there's anything else you want to say, I want to thank you again for being on today, and hopefully in another 6 to 12 months, I'd love to have you back on to probably demo. I'm sure will be even more features that are going to be coming out for this as it continually updates, and you find other things that are, you find new pain points for yourself, which will then translate into new features that you put into the tool.
Yes, I want to say only one thing. Thank you, Reed. I'm very happy to have done this showcase, and thank you everybody to be here.
Absolutely. Everybody tuning in, thanks so much. And I'll be off next week for a live stream. I'll have a regular video, but I'll be back on for a live stream in 2 weeks with Adam Saxton and Patrick LeBlanc from Guided Cube. So I'll see all of you guys then. All right, cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you want to help support this channel, take a look at our channel memberships as well. And last but not least, please consider sharing this video on social media to help pass on this awesome content and to help the channel grow. So until next time.